welcome to our signing ceremony. We are very humbled and thankful that you all have decided to attend and grace us with your presence. This morning we're going to have a few speakers, and I will introduce them as we go through the process. However, before we start, I'd like to start off with a prayer from the Coastal Crisis Chaplaincy. I believe we've settled on Chaplain Robinson doing this prayer. We weren't sure, but
The coin toss.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us pray. Eternal Father, for this moment, we're thankful for this historic occasion, the signing of this memorandum of agreement. We thank you for the collaboration of Joint Base Charleston and the Charleston County Consolidated 911 Center. Thank you for the opportunity to enrich our community, allow us to be alert in times of tragedy and times of accidents, that we can come together and even be that more effective and powerful. Bless our leaders who have gathered this morning and our community for which we've come and we represent. We ask these blessings in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. You all are welcome to have a seat. For those of you that have chairs. So in 2013, we began discussions with Joint Base Charleston on how to make our response systems on both the base and off the base more efficient. And in 2015, we actually started formal discussions under the P4 Community Partnership Program. Previously, prior to today, or prior to, actually we've been operating for how many weeks now? Several weeks? Prior to this transition, the 911 call would go to one of 4 places, either in Berkeley County or in Charleston County. What we've done under this partnership is we've brought all of the 911 calls into Charleston County Consolidated 911 Center. The call taker will actually gather the information from the caller, send that information electronically to Joint Base Charleston, where the Joint Base Charleston dispatchers will actually dispatch those resources. What this has really done for us, it provides a quicker dispatch of responders. It creates that transfer and verbal transfer of information. It allows us to provide life-saving instructions through our protocols, but even more importantly, it allows us to use the strength of both the Charleston County 911 personnel and the Joint Base personnel to provide the most efficient and effective response for those that live and work on the base. So this morning we're going to have a few remarks, and we're going to start off this morning with some comments from our Vice Chairman of County Council, Herb Sass. Mr. Sass.
Thank you, Jim. I'll keep this very brief. I'm happy to be here to represent Charleston County at this celebration of our partnership with Joint Base Charleston. This partnership serves to expand and enhance our consolidated 911 center services in a manner that benefits Joint Base Charleston as well as the surrounding communities. As you just mentioned, getting that clear message and the response in as quickly as possible is what's so important, and I think this is a great way to maintain that. This is going to mean greater public safety for the people who live, work, and visit our area. On behalf of Charleston County Council, I want to thank all who helped establish this important partnership. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Sass. I'd now like to introduce the Wing Commander, Colonel Robert Lyman, to say a few words.
Thank you. First off, thank you all for being here, and thanks for the invitation for us to be here as well. At Joint Base Charleston, we like to think of ourselves as great neighbors to the Low Country, but today is actually an example of the county being great neighbors to the Joint Base. This partnership is a win for the Joint Base in a number of different ways. First off, it saves the federal taxpayers a great deal of money that we're able to partner on this capability. But even more important than that, from my perspective, is it allows us to respond that much faster and that much more effectively when military families, service families that work and live on Joint Base Charleston need help. So the reality is we've always responded jointly and together in any emergency. This partnership makes us that much more effective at doing that. So we are very excited to be a part of this partnership. I think it's a great win for us, and we're looking forward to expanding this sort of partnership in the future. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to invite Sheriff Al Cannon to say a few words, obviously representing the Sheriff's Office, but also our Consolidated Dispatch Board.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, and this is a personally important day, and I will tell you why. In 1974, I was appointed Police Community Relations Officer for the North Charleston Police Department, and one of the things as I learned that new position, which was new not only for me but also law enforcement, that was the early days of community-oriented policing, I came to recognize how important military presence was in our community, and came to realize that they were a part of and not apart from the community. And so this today is a strong statement of that relationship and how important they are to us, and how important the military personnel and civilians and family members who are on Joint Base Charleston. Obviously, having retired from the Air Force and having spent a lot of time at the Air Force Base during the course of my career, this is especially gratifying to me. I was in OSI, a sister agency to the security forces, and OSI said there's not a base anywhere that we have any better relationships with the locals than Charleston Air Force Base, because of my involvement out there. So, but as the technology has evolved, and we began close to 10 years ago now to look at that evolution and look at how it impacted our 911 system. This building came as a result of a lot of dedicated people coming together in recognition that to serve our citizens in context of medical and fire and law enforcement assistance, that we really needed to update our capabilities. And again, hopefully Colonel Lyman recognized from his tour just how sophisticated we are. And I'm proud of the Consolidated Dispatch community, because we have come a long way, and it's not necessarily been all positive, because in the old days of 911, that was a magical system. Someone would dial 911 from their telephone, and a little display would show the address, the phone number, police, fire, EMS units that had responsibility there. And then the technology changed. Of course, when back then we talked about the telephone, there was no hard line or landline was not really in the lexicon of civilians, and we went to cell phones, and all of a sudden our 911 center, we're getting 911 calls from I-95 down near Georgia, and then when somebody would dial 911 here locally, we wouldn't know where they were calling from. And so that really presented some tremendous challenges in terms of providing the various public safety elements to assist when they were needed. And so as a consequence, we began looking at how to update our system. And Charleston County in South Carolina has really been ahead of the curve, far outpaced the state when it comes to addressing public safety needs. Hurricane Hugo showed us just how important communications were, and County Council moved to the head of the list, the updating of a communication system. The base, by the way, also now is in a position where we can communicate with our separate systems and have that elusive interoperability that has become a buzzword and a necessary element of the post 9/11 world. So we've come a long way, Colonel. You and your folks will reap the benefits of having greater accuracy when it comes to calling for services and hopefully a more efficient delivery of those services. And Joint Base Charleston, I think, will benefit tremendously from it. And it's just another aspect of our working together, communicating, and forming relationships that when we do have disaster, we don't have to wrestle with a lot of the issues that communities elsewhere do. So this is a big day. This is a significant step. It's a tremendous enhancement for the safety of your folks and our folks, our neighbors, the military community of the Charleston area. So, thank you.
One thing I'd like to touch on before we move over to the table for our signing ceremony. The sheriff mentioned the Consolidated Dispatch community, and we're very happy to have you even closer in our community. But I think that's represented today. We have EMS Director Abrams, we have Mount Pleasant Police Chief Ritchie, we have the Captain of the Port, Captain Tomasulo. All of us feel as though we are a community in working together. So we really do appreciate that, and we appreciate you being here with us. So if I can invite the signatories to come over and to the table. Sheriff Cannon, we have Lieutenant Colonel Brennan, we have Lieutenant Colonel Klaus, Colonel Lyman, and Chairman Sens. Get over to the table, please. Civilians, follow over to Sasha. Military, please see the proper on that side of the table. Sheriff, if you could step over on this side, please. Thank you. We need you for Whitson, so you can right in the middle. Really? Yes. County Administrator Keith Bustrian and Colonel Robert Lyman, if you would please sign the document in front of you. You can actually try to do it at the same time, but you're not left-handed, are you?
No, I can't. I think we can make it work.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant Colonel Klaus and Mr. Sass, if you please step forward and please sign the document. Thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Brennan and Sheriff Cannon. Thank you. If you gentlemen all step back there and stand in line, I think the officers are going to move the table forward, set up the document. We're going to take some group pictures.